too would like to welcome the Minister to the House this evening for this adjournment debate. Minister, I would like to raise the case of an individual with locked-in syndrome who would like to be moved from hospital and to be cared for in his family home. This is a particularly sad case and a case that I've been working on for the past year. This person has been an inpatient in hospital for over a year, and the family is very worried about the individual's mental state and quality of life if they remain in hospital for much longer. This is a young man in his 30s who is ventilator dependent but remains very aware of what is happening around him. I've been liaising with the family and HSE representatives on many levels on this particular case for some time. Understandably, the family wants to see this person come home to be cared for, and they have the doctor support in the hospital, as there is nothing more that can be done for this man in hospital. I've raised the matter on behalf of this person and the family in many formats, through PQs, emails, letters, and now again through the adjournment debate. I've been informed that the reason that this individual will not be moved from hospital to the family home is due to the high level of funding that would be required to deal with the complex care needs, and I do understand that there are many complex care needs involved. However, I don't believe that a person should have to remain in hospital for the foreseeable future due to the lack of approval for funding for a home care package. Additional days, months and years that this person will spend in hospital due to a lack of funding, I feel, is unacceptable. This person deserves and wants the opportunity to live in his own home, to be surrounded by his loved ones. And I must say, it is heartbreaking to see his family, and I know his family, travel up and down to Dublin every single day to be with him. Lately he wrote a letter pleading for people to take him home, and it really was very, very emotional, describing the high point of his day, being moved, waiting for somebody to come and turn him around. I don't think we can imagine how difficult and heartbreaking it must be to literally be locked inside your own body, unable to speak, unable to move, and having to wait for someone to come and roll you over. I feel fear for this person's physical and mental state if they remain in hospital for much longer. I would urge the Minister to please act on this important matter, because everyone, I believe, deserves the opportunity for a decent quality of life, no matter what their disability, their illness or diagnosis is. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, I'd like to thank the Senator for raising the issue. Whilst it is quite unusual, not entirely unique. As you know, we had quite a young woman as well in similar circumstances in Cork, and we dealt with that. The individual at the centre of this case has displayed tremendous tenacity and bravery in dealing with his condition, and as the Senator rightly says, I don't think it's possible for us to imagine what that must be like. Must also acknowledge the devastation of his family and his fiancée at his diagnosis and their incredible commitment to him on a daily basis. Locked-in syndrome is a challenging condition in which a patient generally retains cognitive function but requires constant medical care, treatment and supports such as ventilation. It must be acknowledged that in this case the individual's needs are particularly complex, and patients with such needs are generally cared for in an intensive care setting. His post-discharge care would involve the provision of appropriate medical devices such as ventilation, which are essential to his survival, and 24-hour specialist intensive care unit nursing care. Given the complexity of his care needs, to be cared for at home, he would need an extensive home care package including 24-hour specialist nursing care with clinical governance by an appropriate consultant. I understand that several multidisciplinary meetings have taken place at local level between the family, the HSE and Resilience Ireland, a company which specialises in specialist advanced home care management. I have also been assured that there has been significant engagement between Beaumont Hospital and the local community care service in an effort to find a solution appropriate to this patient's needs. Whilst it may be possible to provide such a solution, the equipment, staffing and resources required are likely to be very substantial and would have to be accommodated within the overall resources available to the HSE for disability services. This case must be considered in that context. The Department of Health has discussed this case with the Health Service Executive, and a meeting between the family and senior officials in the HSE has been scheduled for early next week to discuss and consider the patient's request to transfer home from Beaumont and the significant complex issues associated with such a transfer. The HSE will continue to explore with the family all options for future care, including alternative community service providers or the individual's possible move to a hospital closer to home and family. I know the Senator has a particular interest in this case, and I do believe that the meeting next week will find a resolution to this young man's and his family's particular difficulties.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you. Just briefly, I just want to thank the Minister for the reply. As I said, I do understand the complexity, and it has been explained, you know, the full and the extent of the care that will be needed. I do welcome the fact that this meeting will take place next week, and I'm glad to see that you have taken an interest in this case, Minister, as I knew you would, and I too hope that a resolution can be found, and I will continue to work on that.
Just to further, I won't take long, just to further inform the Senator that the meeting which will be held with Pat Healy, who is the new Director in terms of social care in the HSE, and it will take place on the 15th of April. And as I say, it's not a case that Pat doesn't have experience in, because he also dealt with the woman in Cork. So we should be able to find a resolution. Not certain how long that will take, but at least we're moving in the right direction.
That's great. Thank you very much, Minister. I appreciate that. Thank you.